Algebra 2 stirp here. Go over a little bit of 4C, or 5C, excuse me, more about the graphing. So if we were to graph this equation, this is already in vertex form, so the vertex is at -3 comma -4. You know that the axis of symmetry has to be x equals -3. It's always the x component of the vertex. So -3, -4 is down here. My a value up front is 1, so my pattern graphing will right one, left, and left one, up one, right one, up 3, so on and so forth. And I could have kept going with the 5, but I just chose to stop there. So what is the relationship between the line of symmetry and the vertex? Well, it's always the x component of the vertex is the axis of symmetry. It's that vertical line. Okay, so for the quadratic equation in standard form, the axis of symmetry is x equals -b over 2a. Remember, standard form is y equals ax squared plus bx plus c. So that's how you do it. And the vertex would be -b over 2a. I don't know why I'm not writing real well right now. My pencil's getting goofy. What's going on? So -b over 2a. And then plug in. So it's -b over 2a. The y-intercept is always going to be 0. Plug it in. So we plug in for x to get the y. Okay, so when we are graphing when it's already factored, you know that halfway in between your P and Q is going to be your axis of symmetry. So it's the distance of P minus the distance of Q, and I'll make those absolute values for a reason divided by 2, and that's where you'd find the axis of symmetry. All right, for each quadratic, identify the axis of symmetry. Excuse me. So the axis of symmetry on this one is going to be right here. So AOS is x equals 4. My vertex is going to be 4 comma 7. This parabola opens up, so my vertex would be a minimum, and it would be the y value would be the minimum. The next problem, we know that -7 comma 0 and 11 comma 0 are where they cross the x-axis, so what's halfway in between those? So that's 18, so 9 is halfway in between, or I mean a distance of 9 from each of these, so looks like 2 be my vertex. And then I can, so the distance between these two is a distance of 18. 18 divided by 2 is equal to 9. So if I go 11 minus 9, I get to the 2. That's also my axis of symmetry. X equals 2. Plug that 2 back in, so I get -2 plus 7, which is 9, 2 minus 11, which is -9. So that's going to give me 81. This has a maximum because it opens upside down. So max is 81. So this parabola would look like this if we'd graphed it. All right, next one. So I get -b over 2a. I'll multiply that by -1/2. Okay, so 2 times -1/2 is -1. So it looks like I have an axis of symmetry of x equals 6. Take the 6, plug it back into your equation. So that's going to be 36. Half of 36 is -18. Remember the negative. Plus 36 minus 20. So I get 18 minus 20 is -2. This is going to be a max because this parabola would have opened downward because of that negative. last one on this page. So I get negative, so let's find that axis of symmetry, negative b over 2a. So negative 10 is 10 over 2 times 2. So I get 10 over 4. That reduces to 5 over 2. That's my axis of symmetry. I could go ahead and plug that back in. I'm not going to go ahead and worry about that, but I'd plug that 5 over 2 back into each of those and get my y component of my vertex. I'd say let's totally do that one on a calculator. All right, so for each quality, identify the axis symmetry, vertex, pattern graphing. Okay, so this is going to give me 4 comma 0 and 12 comma 0. So the value that is halfway in between those is going to be 8. So axis symmetry is x equals 8. So 8 comma something will be my vertex. So 4 minus 8, that's negative 4. 12 minus 8 is 4. So I have a vertex at that point. Pattern graphing on this one would be 1, 3, 5. And the reason it's not negative, if I FOIL this out, the negatives become a positive. And then find the y-intercept. If I want to find the y-intercept, plug 0 in for x. So 4 minus 0, 12 minus 0, that's going to give me 48. So 0 comma 48 is my y-intercept. Next problem. My being it's a different two squares, I'm going to get 5 comma 0 and negative 5 comma 0 as my x-intercepts. My y-intercept is going to go ahead and be 0 comma 25 if I plug 0 in for the x. Halfway in between these points is going to be 0. And then so my axis of symmetry is x equals 0. If I plug 0 in, I'll take 25 out. So my vertex and my y-intercept happen to be the exact same thing on this. Next problem, I'm going to have a vertex of negative 12, negative 5. Axis of symmetry is x equals negative 12. This opens downward. Oh, this top one in our pattern graphing would be negative 1, negative 3, negative 5 because we had the negative on the x squared. This one is our pattern graphing is going to be negative 1/3, negative 3/3, which is going to be just negative 1, and then negative 5/3. We could make that 3/3 if it makes you feel better about it. And identify axis symmetry of the vertex, pattern graphing, y-intercept. Y-intercept this one, I'll plug 0 in for x. So that's going to be 12 squared. That's 144. 144 divided by 3. You know what? Let's look at the calculator on that one. I don't have a calculator with me. All right, next one, negative b over 2a. So negative 24 over 2a. So that's going to be negative 24 over 6. So my axis of symmetry is going to be x equals 4, negative 4. My vertex is going to be negative 4 something. Plug negative 4 back in, so that's going to give me 16. That's 48 minus 96. So that's going to give me negative 48 minus 19. Oh my gosh, that's a huge vertex. So that's going to give me a 7, a 1, 5, 67, negative 67. And then my pattern graphing on this one would actually be 3, 9, 15, which I would make it pretty skinny. Okay, take a look at the homework. Bring any of your questions to class. Have a great day, everybody. Take care of one another.